Hello guys, girls and gamers, and this week we are talking about arms. Gonna be very interesting. Before we begin, I would like to remind you guys to please like and subscribe, comment down below. I really want to start a discussion with my videos, so comments mean a lot to me. And if you want to be extra nice, you can also share this video with your family, your friends, your grandmother, whoever you like. And there will be videos every Monday, so stay tuned for those. So yeah, as I mentioned, I will be talking about ARMS today, which is a fighting game made by Nintendo that released in 2017. And this is a very curious game, in my opinion at least, because there was a lot of hype going into ARMS, but then suddenly just everything faded away. And I just wanted to talk about that and answer a few questions, like what happened to ARMS, and then how can Nintendo revive the series, and how likely is the sequel anyway? So let's begin by talking a little bit about the history of ARMS. Now, ARMS was first revealed in the 2017, I think it was in January, where they had like a big presentation for Nintendo Switch, and they presented ARMS with this part live action trailer where people got all of the springy arms that ARMS is known for in the Nintendo Switch presentation, and then cut to like footage of this completely new IP, and that trailer really, I think, made a really good impression on people. It was a new IP, so people were of course excited, and some thought it might look a bit simple, like an extension of Wii Sports. How can they sell it as a full game? And then there was, of course, a lot of comparisons to Splatoon, which is the runaway hit series for Nintendo, which is really great. And this was even further down the line, uh, kinda acknowledge more when like Splatoon and ARMS shared a Nintendo Direct, and both had like this test demo. In Splatoon we had the Splatoon test fire, but in ARMS we got the test punch. So I understand why people thought these were really kind of similar, and people were hyping ARMS to be the fighting game equivalent of what Splatoon did to shooters. So yeah, there was a lot of hype at release, and the game did sell well. I think it did sell 2.4 million copies or so. But then something weird happened, yeah, and the game just quickly died off. Every hype about this new ARMS game just faded away. So what happened? Where I think that ARMS kinda, there was so much hype in the beginning, but it just faded away because it kinda failed to live up to the expectations on two opposite sides, in my opinion. And these sides are very opposite, in my opinion, which are the competitive side, which is important for a new fighting game, and the casual side, which is very important for any Nintendo game. So, in the competitive sense, I think, well, first of all, I must say that it is a really great game, and I was playing it earlier, playing it this week a lot just for this video, and I did really have fun with it. The combat is like very easy to get to, but it is also deep at the same time, and I think you could somehow mold it into a very cool competitive game. But what really killed it in the competitive sense was basically the lack of support from Nintendo. And this is kind of to be expected. Nintendo is not really that good with any esports stuff altogether. There were very little official tournaments, a few at like E3, but then years went on by and Splatoon got tournaments, but ARMS just didn't. And also inside the game, the tournament mode, we didn't get one until like 5-6 months into the game, where most of the DLC had released already, or all of it, I don't remember correctly. So a tournament mode is very important for a fighting game scene because it allows you easy access to, having a your own tournaments in the game, of course. So the tournaments before had to have been like online. That is hard to set up because of internet connections and Switch Online being what it is. So it wasn't that easy to get a fighting scene going. And then in general, like all of the advertising for the game was showing around people playing the game with motion controls, which is fine for the casual audience, but the fighting game community is not going to latch on to that because in a good competitive esports fighting game, you need like really accurate movement and that kind of stuff. So motion controls are not. You need a good you need to have like good reaction times and everything, and you can't really do that with motion controls. Of course, we know that the game now can be like played with a pro controller, but that was just not showcased in like any advertising, which was not something fighting game communities will get really excited about. And for like the um and for the casual side of things, there was a severe, I think, just a lack of content with the game, especially on the single player front. What we had there, I think the most that we have there are good and fun, but they don't offer very much reason to engage the players or reasons for the casual player to come back. And I think this is the worst in like the single player content, definitely. And launching a new IP that is full price in the modern age, that is a fighting game, you should include a good story mode. And ARMS just didn't. We have good characters and good lore, but they just do nothing with it. All we have in the game currently and in release is the Grand Prix mode, which is just a few battles and then you win the tournament. But there's no like any cool like narrative elements there. There's no characters talking to each other. There's no like larger narrative than, hey, they're holding up a tournament and you can go there and win. And it's just not good. We definitely need more from the characters and just the lore. And just like the characters are so cool. I love their designs and they have so much interesting backstories, but the game does nothing to bring that out. So that is definitely where it really failed, in my opinion, at least in the casual sense. So, what does ARMS 2? Let's say that it gets a sequel. What does it need to do to kind of revive the series? Because we have not heard anything about ARMS in a very, very long time. All we have gotten these past 3.5 years since the game was done with its DLC was basically a Super Smash Bros. Fighter, and the comic book that ARMS was supposed to get was cancelled. So there's really nothing going on in the ARMS world. So how can we revive this series? People did like it at a release, but we need to revive it. How can we do that? Well, the biggest thing is, of course, having a better story mode. Flesh out the world, flesh out the lore, and bring out the characters more. I really liked how Nintendo did this in both Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2. Not that these are completely the same games, but a lot of comparisons have been made about these two games already, so why not continue that trend? But Splatoon does this wonderfully, where they have a good single player mode that people can play, enjoy it, really get a handle on these controls, and that also offers a good way to introduce the fun characters. Who are these characters? Splatoon also has magnificent lore, very interesting backstories for everyone. So do something like that. And I personally wouldn't mind if you had kind of like this open world or like a word hub in some way in ARMS 2, because for me personally it was just boring for the whole game to be menus, but I understand it because it's a fighting game, but that's just a personal thing I would like. And for the competitive stuff, I would just have like for fun, So you can play all of the cool mini games online and a few battles, but it's nothing that serious. And then online should also have like ranked matches, which are way more serious and include no mini games. And it's like maybe do it in seasons, like many other uh, kind of these live service games are doing. And then of course having a tournament mode, a good one, just having easier local play at launch as well. And those are really important. And then of course new characters and arms. And what I was thinking also you could add to the moveset, I think the core gameplay otherwise is fine, but you could also add like super attacks, your final smashes and that kind of stuff. We have a super attack in this game already, but it's the same for everyone. So I think it would be cool if we had a special one for each character. That's just how I feel about it, and I think that would be a really good option to include in the sequel as well. Other things the sequel needs to do is, of course, rethink the marketing. And currently, I think the ARMS was trying to find a balance between like casual and competitive, which is really hard because fighting games are not really the most casual friendly games. They are very technical and very just not appealing to them. You have a lot to learn if you want to become a really good one. Smash Brothers does this very well. I know someone's going to comment that. So Smash Brothers does this really well because one of the characters, because all of the characters are from Nintendo franchises, of course that appeals to a casual audience, but also because it can just be played kind of like a party game. And I know some people get upset about this because they are die-hard Smash Brothers fans, but I do think like most people play Smash Brothers not as a very highly competitive fighting game, but more as like something fun to do with friends, a more of a party scenario. And I would definitely, if I was in charge of making ARMS 2 and the marketing side, I would focus more on the casual side, of course, but also leave a little for the actual competitive crowd to get interested in. Just showcase in the first trailer people also playing with like pro controllers and not just with motion controls. That is something I want to see. And if a game's good and has a lot of players, a competitive scene will definitely form again. It's a Nintendo franchise, people will play it, and if it's fun to play against other people and the online is not a problem, there will be some type of a competitive scene. Sorry about that. There is for Smash Brothers, of course, but other games do like Pokken Tournament still has a scene that it's not big, but it's very faithful. So go for that. I know it's not going to be the next Splatoon. It will definitely not be the next Smash Brothers. But if you have a healthy, small, dedicated community, I think that is just fine. But definitely leave a little for the competitive community when you are doing marketing. Don't just show people playing it around as a family. That's all I'm saying. But next, how likely is even a sequel? I have been talking a lot about what should a sequel do, but is that even likely? Well, ARMS definitely, in my opinion, has an uphill battle ahead if the franchise if Nintendo wants to revive the franchise. And I think I'm actually not sure how much Nintendo is interested in doing that, making it a very heavy hitting IP, or will it just become like another Pikmin or Kid Icarus that maybe they sometimes make an appearance, but it's not really important to Nintendo. They already have Smash Brothers and Splatoon, and I think Nintendo thinks that is just okay for the competitive games. They don't really care about the competitive environment anyway, so there's one. And it did sell pretty okay. By the way, do not Google ARMS sales. You will not find the sales data for this game immediately. Just ARMS game sales. I made that mistake. But yeah, it saw 2.38 million, which is pretty good for like a new fighting game. But I'm not sure if that is like really that's great for like Nintendo EPD standards that are the one of the main studios of Nintendo. If you want to know more about Nintendo Studios, click my video about me explaining all Nintendo Studios. Anyway, and I think Nintendo also tested the interest in the series with Min Min in Smash Brothers, but I could be wrong about this, but I do not think people were too hype about it, and they just kind of brushed off Min Min at that point. So I'm not sure if people are too interested in this franchise anymore. But at the same time, I could be wrong, and Nintendo could be working on something new, completely new for the series and for those characters. I definitely want to see those characters again in any game. Nintendo still might see some potential in the IP and want to try again. I can't say for sure, but I hope there will be a sequel, but I don't think that is too likely. Of course, possible, but at the same time, it just could be a one-off thing that they tried. I can't really say for sure, but I definitely hope for it. So, what do you guys think about this? I want to throw this discussion to you. Do you think ARMS 2 is possible? What would you like to see in it? And what do you think about the first game in general? Thank you guys so much for watching, and check out my other videos, and of course subscribe. But I have nothing else to say for now, so I'll just see you guys next time. Bye bye.